Welcome back to Pika, where every night we explore fascinating why questions and gently lull you to sleep. Tonight, let's join Pika to find out why is the ocean salty. Listen along to discover the answer and drift off into a deep sleep. You're floating just beneath the surface of a shimmering blue sea when something small, round, and bouncy bumps into your knee. Ploof. In a flash, it puffs up like a spiky balloon. "Whoa, sorry," squeaks a tiny voice. "You startled me." Meet Sunny, a pudgy little pufferfish with the kind of face that always looks like it just heard a silly joke. His eyes are big, googly, and full of curiosity. You watch as he tries to take a slurp of seawater and immediately scrunches up his face. "Blah, why is this stuff so salty?" he says, blinking rapidly. "Good question." You cup some water in your hands, taste it gently, and sure enough, it's salty like tears or old pretzels. But not too salty, just enough to make you wonder. Sunny bobs beside you, fins twitching. "I've lived here forever and never really thought about it. Why does the ocean taste like this and not like, I don't know, lemon soda?" You both look out over the endless waves as seagulls glide overhead. The sun winks down like it's in on the secret. Maybe the answer has something to do with the sky, or the land, or somewhere deep below. "I say," Sunny offers, "we go find out." And just like that, your salty adventure begins. Sunny leads the way, bobbing like a squeaky beach ball with fins. "Let's start with the land," he suggests, spinning in a slow underwater circle. "I mean, rivers come from land, right? Maybe they bring flavor." You nod and follow him toward a distant shoreline where a gentle river kisses the ocean's edge. The water here feels cooler, fresher, less stingy on your tongue. The river snakes down from the mountains, tumbling over rocks, gliding past forests, sliding between valleys. You imagine it like a slippery slide made for water. As you and Sunny drift closer, you notice tiny grains floating in the river, so small they're nearly invisible. "Hey, is that salt?" Sunny whispers. "Kind of. When rain falls on mountains, it doesn't just bounce off. It wiggles into cracks, gently breaks down the rocks, and carries its mineral souvenirs into streams and rivers. Among those minerals, tiny particles of salt." "Whoa," Sunny murmurs. "So the mountains are kind of like salt shakers?" "Exactly. Very, very slow ones." You both imagine a mountain with glasses and a chef's hat, shaking its hips as it sprinkles bits of salt into the wind like a very serious cook. Fun fact, most of the salt in the sea doesn't come from giant salt blocks. It comes from this tiny, slow crumble of rocks, one grain at a time, over millions of years. "Okay," Sunny says, blowing a few bubbles. "So rivers are flavor expressways. Maybe the earth is just making a really, really big pot of soup." You and Sunny follow the river backwards in your imagination, tracing it up through hills and cliffs until it becomes a tiny stream, hopping joyfully over rocks. Every splash, every drip, carries something with it, like a secret tucked into a suitcase. "Is that more salt?" Sunny asks, peeking at a rock shimmering under the flow. "Yep, kinda like how sugar dissolves in tea, minerals dissolve in water, especially when rain and wind have been nibbling on the same rock for, say, 1,000,000 years." "Wait," Sunny says, puffing up a little. "The rain is eating the rocks?" Not quite chewing, but you laugh at the idea. You picture a cloud chomping down on a mountain like popcorn. Actually, rain is just a little acidic, and when it trickles through rocks, it helps break them apart in slow motion. And all those freed up minerals, including salt, get swept along for the ride. Nature's spice caravan, Sunny says, with a dramatic fin flip. I like it. You float above a bend in the river and see it all clearly now. From mountaintop to riverbed to ocean, the earth is gently washing its face, and everything it washes away ends up in the sea. The wonder is how quiet it is, how ordinary, how completely invisible to someone just watching the surface. Maybe the best stories are the ones we almost miss. Okay, Sunny says with a puff of determination. The land's doing its part, but I bet there's something happening under the sea, too. Time to dive deep. The light dims as you and Sunny swim downward, leaving the glittery surface behind. The water gets cooler, quieter, and darker, like a secret tunnel no one talks about. Sunny hums nervously. Are we gonna bump into anything spooky? Just then, whoosh, a warm current slides past your arm, like steam rising from a bowl of soup. Yikes, Sunny puffs up mid-swim. That current just hugged me. You've reached a hydrothermal vent, a deep-sea crack where the earth breathes. Around you, black towers rise from the seafloor, spewing clouds of superheated water laced with minerals, including salty ones. These things are like undersea volcano noses, Sunny says, eyes wide. And they sneeze salt? Sort of. Water seeps into cracks in the ocean floor, heats up way below the crust, picks up minerals, then whooshes back out through these vents, hot, dark, and salty. Fun fact, these underwater chimneys can reach over 400 degrees. Hot enough to boil your soup 5 times over if your soup didn't explode first. But somehow, strange little creatures live here. Fuzzy tube worms, blind crabs, glowing snails. They thrive in the steamy darkness, where salt is born in secret. Okay, Sunny mutters, staring at a glowing worm. This ocean has way more flavors than I thought. Maybe the salt we taste at the beach started its journey in a place like this, bubbling from the earth's deepest breath. You float upward again, the vent fading below, above. The light is brighter. The adventure continues. As you and Sunny rise toward the surface again, bubbles swirl around you like jelly bean-sized balloons. The water tastes faintly salty on your lips. Nothing new. But now you know. That flavor comes from mountain crumbs and steamy undersea vents. Wait, Sunny says, blinking. If salt keeps coming into the ocean, why doesn't it taste super salty? Like stick your tongue out and scream salty. Good point. You both pause, bobbing in the sunshine. A seabird overhead lets out a laugh. Maybe it's in on the answer. Well, you muse, where would the salt go? Sunny's eyes widen. It doesn't leave? Exactly. Unlike water, which can evaporate into the sky and fall again as rain. Salt doesn't rise. It's heavy. It stays behind. So when ocean water turns into clouds, it leaves its salty cargo behind, like a kid sneaking out without their backpack. So, the ocean's like a bathtub, with no drain? Sunny gasps. That's it. The water comes and goes, but the salt keeps piling up, like dust under your bed if you never clean. Fun fact, if you took all the salt in the ocean and spread it across the Earth's land, you'd have a salty layer over 150 feet thick, as tall as a 14-story building. Yowza, Sunny squeaks. No wonder my cheeks taste funny. You both spin in the sunlight, realizing the sea is a giant collector. It takes in salt, keeps it, stirs it gently, and never lets it go. Maybe the ocean is a storybook that remembers everything. You and Sunny drift lazily near the surface now, watching tiny fish flicker below like blinking stars. The ocean feels still for a moment, peaceful, ancient. I wonder, Sunny says softly, has it always tasted like this? You tilt your head. That's a big question. Truth is, the ocean wasn't always this salty. Long, long ago, before fish had fins, and before Sunny's great, 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 great grandpuff ever puffed, Earth's oceans were much fresher. Barely any salt at all. But over billions of years, drop by drop, river by river, mineral by mineral, the flavor built up. Whoa, Sunny whispers. So it's like the sea's been seasoning itself forever? Exactly. Imagine sprinkling a pinch of salt into a pot of soup, once every second, for 3 billion years. That's the slow, steady recipe the Earth has been following. Fun fact, the ocean contains about 50 quadrillion kilograms of salt. That's a 5, followed by 16 zeros. Try fitting that in a salt shaker. Sunny floats upside down in awe. So when I taste salt, I'm tasting time. You smile. Maybe that's why the sea feels so magical. Every drop carries the flavor of patience. Some of the salt might have come from the very first raindrop, or from a mountain that doesn't even exist anymore, or a vent that hasn't breathed in a million years. Okay, Sunny puffs, this ocean is officially blowing my fins off. And with that, he does a slow somersault. The water giggles with bubbles as you both float in silence for a moment, listening to the sea remember. You and Sunny glide just above a coral reef now, like flying over a bustling underwater city. It's full of swaying plants, darting fish, and creatures with squishy bodies and curious eyes. How do they deal with all this salt? Sunny wonders aloud, puffing slightly as a crab scuttles by with a sideways glance. Good question. Salt might make your lips pucker, but these animals have had millions of years to figure out clever ways to live in salty homes. Take fish, for example. Their bodies are like mini science labs, constantly working to balance salt and water. Some gulp in seawater and push out the extra salt through their gills. Others barely drink at all, keeping their insides perfectly tuned. Sunny eyes a group of jellyfish twirling nearby. They don't even have brains. How do they know what to do? You giggle. Somehow, even without brains, jellyfish have cells that know just how to soak up what they need and leave the rest. Fun fact, sea turtles cry, not because they're sad, but because they use special salt glands near their eyes to get rid of extra salt from the seawater they drink. So even their tears are salty, Sunny gasps. That's genius. Gross, but genius. Maybe every creature here has a secret salt trick. Dolphins, clams, squids, even sea slugs. They've all mastered life in an ocean where salt never sleeps. Sunny spins in a slow circle, fins out. I'm starting to feel proud of my salty home. Maybe the salt doesn't just flavor the ocean. It shapes everything that lives in it. The ice fades behind as you and Sunny drift deeper again, into the dark, slow-moving parts of the sea. Down here, the water feels heavy and still, like the ocean is holding its breath. Why is it so quiet? Sunny whispers, eyes wide. You nudge him gently forward. Shh, listen close. There's a low hum all around you, like the soft creak of a giant rocking cradle. It's the sound of ocean currents, deep and patient, carrying salty water from one side of the world to the other. Whoa, Sunny gasps, spinning slowly. It's like the ocean has invisible highways. Exactly. These thermohaline currents, that's a sleepy word for temperature plus salt, are huge underwater rivers. Cold, salty water sinks near the poles and slowly slides across the ocean floor, like molasses moving through a giant bowl. Fun fact, some of these currents take 1,000 years to make a full loop around the planet. 1,000 years? Sunny floats upside down, stunned. By the time it gets back, I'll be a wrinkly puffball. You both giggle, imagining Sunny in tiny pufferfish glasses and a robe, still waiting on the same salty swirl. These currents don't just move water. They carry heat, nutrients, and yes, salt to places far, far away. It's how the salt that drips into the sea in one corner of the world might end up halfway across the planet. Maybe that's how the ocean stays balanced, by never letting anything stay still for too long. And somewhere in that drift is a story still moving. You and Sunny float back toward the surface now, the water warmer, lighter, like a blanket just out of the dryer. Tiny waves lap around you, and the sun shimmers above like a sleepy eye, blinking slowly. Hey, Sunny says softly, do you think every drop of ocean water has a memory? Maybe. Maybe the drop on your fingertip was once tucked inside an ancient mountain, or steamed from a hydrothermal vent, or swirled through a 1,000-year current before arriving here. Maybe it passed by whales, icebergs, coral gardens, or a turtle blinking slowly in the moonlight. Or maybe, Sunny adds with a grin, it was once inside a crab who really needed to sneeze. You both laugh. Fun fact, a single drop of seawater contains millions of tiny things, plankton, minerals, even tiny fragments of ancient rocks and shells. It's not just salty, it's alive with stories. The sea is more than a giant blue puddle. It's a record of the planet, written in salt, word by word, wave by wave. You and Sunny float in silence now, eyes half closed. The water sways gently around you, carrying the hush of time. Thanks for finding the answer with me, Sunny whispers. I think I'm finally full. Full of salt. No, full of wonder. The waves hush. The sunlight softens. Salt drifts quietly below as the ocean cradles the secrets it never stops sharing. You close your eyes, floating in warmth, listening to the heartbeat of the sea. Somewhere, Sunny snores a tiny puff. The ocean remembers. And now, so do you.